welcome to the Knitting Jungle podcast. My name is Sara and I live here in the Boston area with my husband and two little girls, and this is a podcast about everything I've been knitting on. Occasionally I might share some crochet or some sewing projects, especially as we get into the summer months. I like to sew summer clothes like summer dresses and linen pants and skirts and things like that. So if that sounds like your cup of coffee, then I would love to have you, and thank you so much for watching. So this week we're having a bit of a heat wave here. I think it was about 90 degrees yesterday, and the day before was maybe 88 Fahrenheit, that is. I'm not sure what that would be in Celsius. So suddenly I've put away all my knitwear. Well, I have it on display so I can look at my beautiful projects, but I've already pulled out all my linen and cotton clothing from storage. And but not to worry, I still love to knit on wool in the summer, so there will be plenty to look at, as you will see soon. So this past weekend, my mom and I went to the Brimfield flea market. It's maybe one of the biggest antique shows in the United States. It's about 4 or 5 days long, and people from all around the country come and show off their goods for you to buy. We tried to go on a Friday afternoon. We're trying to avoid the weekend by going on Friday. And we got a flat tire on the way, if you can believe it. So we had to cancel that day. And my mom got her tire replaced. And then we went again on a Sunday, which was the very last day of the show. And we've been several times before in the past couple of years since we moved here to the Boston area from San Francisco. And this time it was pretty slim pickings. Normally we had gone on like the Thursday, like earlier on in the show, but it seemed like on Sunday a lot of the vendors had already packed up. So we've hardly got anything. The only thing I got was like an antique seam roller and an old wooden bobbin, or what would you call it, a spool. I think it's for like an industrial size loom. So I thought that'd be really nice for my arts and crafts area downstairs. I thought if I can find some open shelves, I would make a nice little display of antique arts and crafts tools. But anyways, let's get on to the knitting. So my first finished object is something that I've been working on for maybe 8 to 10 years. I kind of lost track. I know for sure I was in the middle of this project in 2016, but I think I started in 2014 and then put it away for a couple years. And anyways, I finally finished it. It's going to be too large on camera, so I will insert some other footage of this, but this is what I call my ultimate cables blanket. So here's about half of it. This is one of my very first like really big knitting projects. So I just love how cables looked, but I knew I would get bored doing one cable, so what I did was a bunch of different panels. I think there are 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, there's 5 panels. 2 white and 3 gray. So for each panel I picked a cable pattern and just knit it until whatever length I had decided. I think this is like a very, very large lap size blanket. I was thinking this would be perfect for a couch. Anyways, this is made out of fisherman's wool. At the time when I started the project, this is all I knew about wool, was the Lion Brand Fisherman wool. As you can see, it's pretty big. So yeah, what can I say? I knit this on, I think, 5mm needles. There's one panel here where I held it double because I was thinking this is going to take forever. Maybe I should hold it double. This section turned out the best, I think, because this Lion's Brand Fisherman wool is very soft, but it is already pilling, and I've never even used this blanket before. Yeah, it's just been in storage, all the panels, and I sewed it all up a couple weeks ago. And I put a crochet border along the edge, and then I washed and blocked it, and it's already pilling. So that's not too good for all my hard work, but it is a nice piece of knitting history, of my knitting history. Just shows how far I've come. So anyways, I knit this on 5mm needles, and which is, I think it's what is recommended for this brand of yarn, but it's the weave is way too open. I think that's why it's pilling, and it's just, I don't think this is the highest quality of wool. So I'm gonna have to be pretty delicate with this if I don't want it to fall apart. There's already some holes. I found one earlier where I'm gonna have to patch that up. But each panel, okay, so the cable patterns I got is from Tammy Eigeman, I believe. I'm not sure, I knit these panels so long ago, but she does have a Ravelry page, which I will link below. And what she used to do back in 2016 was she would release one cable pattern for free every month. And I believe she also had an ebook, maybe you can still get that on her Ravelry page. And this one ebook would have a bunch of different cabled square blocks, and you could kind of do whatever you want with that type of block pattern. Just keep repeating it if you want a panel blanket, for example. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is my ultimate project. I hope you can see it okay. And yeah, I made this back when I was really into gray. I'm not into gray so much anymore, but I think it's coming back in fashion as like an interior design color. But I am so proud of this. I don't know why I waited so long to finish it. Well, it was a lot of seaming up, but I'm gonna go put this on the couch downstairs and proudly display my work. I'm just looking at my notes here, and one of the blocks is from her November 2016 block, and another block I use is her August 2016 Afghan block. The rest I'm not so sure, but maybe you can scroll through her Ravelry page. She's got plenty of beautiful cabled blocks if that's what you're interested in. I was thinking this is a really good way to make a blanket so that you don't get too bored. And I would love to make another cabled blanket one day, but definitely with a higher quality wool, one that's twisted up more tightly so it's, you know, very sturdy and a tighter gauge. So if you have any suggestions for cabled blanket patterns, please leave a comment, and I'll definitely take a look. I think that would just be a really nice cozy project to have on the couch in winter time, and you just knit on it a little bit here and there, and in 10 years it'll be finished. Okay, my other finished object is very, very small in comparison to that blanket, but it is a cute little penguin. Isn't he adorable? This is from the designer Clare Garland. She also goes by Pebbles Knits, and she has probably my favorite collection of knitted toys. Like, I've done at least 5 or 6 of her patterns, and they are so good. They're knitted flat and seamed up, which I prefer than knitting in the round with like a bunch of double pointed needles. And if you're interested in knitting a toy and you're like a beginner toy maker, I would highly recommend this pattern because it's small, it's a blob, there's very minimal like arms and legs, like these are pretty small. There's no ears, like there's not too many parts to it, it's mostly just a big blob. But he is so cute. I'm making this for one of our best friends had a baby maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm gonna go visit them in San Francisco next week, and this is for that little guy. So this was made, this is a very fuzzy yarn. I held 2 yarns double. I used Drop Sky, which is like a chained yarn, and that was held double with the Drops Kid Silk Mohair. Yep, yeah, so it's like a light gray color. The Drop Sky was the color, let me just see my notes, Gray Fog, and the Kid Silk was in the shade Moonshine. And this was knit on 3.25 millimeter needles for the body, and then the feet and part of the head was knit on 2.5 millimeter needles. This is the yarn I used for that penguin. See how it's chained? That's the drop sky, and then this is the mohair I used. Pretty good match. And I put some safety eyes in there. You can also embroider the eyes if you want. And I stuffed him with polyfill and a little bit of beads. I think my girls already want me to make them one because he's so cute. And he doesn't quite stand up on his own, so I think next time I'll put more beads in the lower third part of his butt and then polyfill on the top, so that way he'll be heavy enough to sit like this very nicely. Another thing I'll say about this guy is that it's very cheap to make. The drops yarns are pretty cheap, maybe $5 or $6 for a skein, and I could probably make 2 or 3 of these guys with one skein of all the yarns I used. While I'm here, I thought maybe I'll show you the other knitted toy patterns I've made from this designer, Pebbles. This is probably my favorite pattern. This one's called a flying fox bat, I believe. And look how it's so realistic. I think that's why I think it's so cute. This one's really fuzzy as well. I think it was in another drops yarn. I used exactly what she used, what she had listed in her pattern. For everything, I used everything she used because in her example pictures it just looks so perfect. And she has little blue safety eyes and a little, if you want a nose like this, you can try looking on Etsy and just type in cat toy nose and something like this you can find there. And that's for one of my girls, and the other girl got this, an unfinished little bat. So she still needs her wings, but together they are cute little sisters. I've also made this duck. I made this for Easter time. This is another great beginner project. It doesn't even have arms. And it's knitted flat, and you only need 2 colors. I used yellow and pink. This one came out a little wonky. I made a mistake with the short rows, but I was too lazy to fix it, and nobody seems to notice. Oh, I also made it inside out by accident. See, the purl side is out, but in the top the knitted side is out. You might not notice that unless you're a knitter, so it's okay. And then also for Easter, I made her bunny pattern. Ding, ding, ding. Here's one. One of my girls put a little bow on her ear. I think this is also in Drops Sky. And this bunny has a little embroidered closed eyeball. And if you were to feel this, it is so, so soft. And they've been playing with her a lot, and it's not losing its softness at all. And a little tail. And this one has been played with a lot. There's a little string coming out of her eye. This was the first one I made. I think it's a little bit misshapen now. They've been playing with it a lot. But yeah, just cute little bunnies, and together they made a perfect Easter trio. So yeah, highly recommend her patterns. I think on Etsy, or yeah, I think I bought them on Etsy, and at the time there was a sale, like each pattern was like $1 or $2, so yeah, quite affordable. And I forgot, I also made this little carrot. This is one of her patterns as well. It's called Heirloom Carrots. Ta-da! Okay, so that's all for my finished objects. Now on to whips. So this is what I've been spending all of my time making. If you saw my previous episode, you might have seen that I made my first Colorwork sweater. It was a Norwegian-inspired kofte, where you knit it in the round, and then you cut it down the middle and make the button bands. And I knit the sleeves separately and join them at the armpit, and then knit it raglan style up to the neck. Anyways, that was my first experience doing colorwork and sweater knitting, and I loved it so much that I thought, well, I better cast out another one. The first one I made was in black and white, which goes really well with my my wardrobe. I normally wear like black and whites and neutrals. So for the next one, I decided to try a new yarn and a crazy color pattern. So what I'm making is the Jaipur Kofte by Sidsel Hoivik. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly, so my apologies. But it's from her book, My Best Knitted Treasures. Here's the book. I got it directly from her website, along with the same yarn she used, which is Hillesvag Ask. It's 100% Norwegian wool. It's a white wool, so it's dyed in, they've got tons and tons of colors. So you could kind of make anything you wanted. So for mine, here, well, I don't know, you can't see that too well, but in her version, she knit it in a light pink and kind of brownish green yarn, more towards like the yellowish brown ochre family. But my favorite color combination is pink and green, so I decided to go with that color combination, like a dark olive green. And so this is what I have so far. Oh, this is the body. So I finished the body up until the armpits. It was knit from the bottom up. And yeah, so for every pattern I do, I don't actually follow the pattern too closely. For example, in this one, I basically just took all of the charted color work, all the color work charts, and then I just calculated how much to cast on based on my swatch I made and my measurements and how much positive ease I wanted. So I basically ignored the pattern except for the colorwork charts. In her pattern, there's no real ribbing here at the bottom, but I like a ribbing, so I did a couple inches of ribbing, and then one row of purl at the bottom for the turning edge, and then I knit some more in a 2x2 rib, and then folded it on itself from the underside and sewed it down. So if that makes any sense. I did a double thickness ribbing on the hem here. So this color work just makes me so happy to look at. I love this pink and green combination. There's like this dark green. The background is actually a light pink. Maybe you can tell it's pink. Looks a little bit white on camera. And then there's like a medium pink. And in her pattern, she has a wider waistband, but I made that a little shorter. The original is like comes all the way here, but I made mine smaller and I changed up the colors a little bit. So I cast on to fit my hips, and then I decreased a little bit towards the waist and then increased again coming up to the armpit area. And this is not in the, oh, this is the steeking line. That makes sense. And I decided to put some pockets into this one because in my first kofte I am sorely missing pockets. So what I did was when I got to the spot where I wanted the pocket, I cast off I think 42 stitches for the pocket, and then there was just a giant hole. And then the next round I cast on 42 stitches and then just continued knitting in the round. Then later on, to fix this hole, I picked up stitches here, and I decided to use this contrasting golden color for the pocket bag. And let me turn it inside out. So then, yep, I knit a pocket bag all the way down until it reached the hem, and I put my phone inside to make sure it would fit my phone because that's basically what I need it for. And then I just sewed down all the edges. Oh, one other thing is I did not catch any floats in this. The design is such that there are only 3 stitches. The floats are only 3 stitches long. And with my first colorwork cardigan, I caught my floats every 3rd stitch, so knit, knit, catch, knit, knit, catch. And that kind of wasted a lot of time. So I thought, oh, let's just try to not catch any floats. They're only 3 stitches wide anyways. And I'll just see how that wears. I think it seems okay. It's going a lot faster, so I think it's worth it if it's only 3 stitches. Oh, but back to the pocket. Then I did a few rounds, sorry, a few rows of this green just to have like this top of the pocket. I don't know what you call it, but I don't know. It was just really, it was like a raw cast off edge, so I had to put something there. This one has not been steamed. This one I've already steamed flat, this side. So it lays pretty nicely, and it's to do a pocket this way is really seamless. It's laying nice and flat. But back to the yarn. So I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles. The first one I did was on 3mm needles, and it's going so much faster on 3.5. So love that. The ribbing and the pocket bag I knit on 3mm needles because I wanted the pocket to be really tight so it wouldn't get any holes in there. Yeah, so the yarn is Hillesvag Ask, like I mentioned. It's 100% Norwegian wool, a nice woolly rustic wool, which is what I prefer knitting on. Well, it's all I knit on, I think. And it's very similar to Rauma Fino, which is more widely available in the US. It's really easy to get that yarn. It's not so easy to get this one. But I'd say they're pretty similar. This one's slightly thicker, so like I said, I could knit this on 3.5mm, and with Rauma Fino, I knit that on 3. So this one is slightly thicker, and I think it's also slightly softer to the touch, and this is before blocking. So if you're able to get your hands on this, it comes in tons and tons of colors like Rauma Fino, and it knits up a little bit quicker. So yeah, here's the body, and then at the side seam, I cast off, I believe, 12 stitches. This could be like the armpit area, and this is where I'm going to join the sleeves when I finish with them. This took me 2 weeks. This is all I knit on though. And then the sleeves, I only finished one sleeve, but the sleeve took me like 2 weeks. It's going so slowly. So I finished one sleeve, and this just took forever. I tried like so many different combinations of double pointed needles, very, very small circular knitting needles, 2 circular knitting needles, magic loop. Finally I settled on whatever size, maybe a 16-inch size, no, maybe more, maybe 20-inch circular knitting needles. These are my favorite knitting needles, the Chiaogu. They're so, so sharp. I actually poked a hole in my finger a couple weeks ago because sometimes, you know, when you're knitting on something really, really small and tight, at least I tend to push the needle to get the stitch off. And so I had to wear a Band-Aid on that finger for a little while. It's all healed up now. Anyways, I found this is the best way to do it. And then I think this is kind of like magic loop, but you kind of suck out some of this slack so that your stitches, so you're kind of knitting it flat, and then you turn the work and do it the other side. If you're experienced at knitting socks and very small circumference things, do let me know what you use and what you prefer. I don't mind double pointed needles, but with 3, this is a 3-color design. And so I spent so much time untangling the yarns that I think that's why it was going so slowly. It was just so fiddly, but I guess maybe this is just how sleeves are. So yeah, I deviated from the pattern quite a bit with the sleeve as well. In her pattern, she has some beautiful armbands similar to the waistband of the body. I think there's 2 of them, but I didn't want to do that, but there are 3 sections of color work. There's this olive green with light pink and a lime green. Then it goes to this section. And then there's this 3rd section. Yeah, you can kind of see it here, 3 sections. just to keep it interesting because I do get bored pretty easily. So when I finished the length of the sleeve, I made it nice and long because no one wants too short of sleeves after all this work. I tried it on to make sure. Yep, it fits. Oh, and I increased once I got to the elbow, I increased every other round, I think, because I do not like a tight underarm area. And then when I got the full length of the sleeve, I cast off 12 stitches as well to match the 12 stitches I cast off in the body. And then later it's going to be joined to the body here and knitted in the round again. So yeah, I don't know if that made sense about like joining the body with the sleeves and then the whole thing you can knit in the round, the yoke in the round. But I did find the way I figured out how to do this was from a free pattern by Jarbo. I'll link that down below. And so it's a free pattern, so you can just look at the instructions and it will kind of tell you how to go about doing that. And the reason I like doing it that way is because I don't like a steeked sleeve. I feel like that creates way too much bulk. At least for me, I already have, you know, wide enough shoulders. I don't need any extra bulk here. Because by the time you steek it and fold back the seam, there's a lot of extra fabric there. And then the dropped shoulder look is not very flattering for me. I think a raglan shoulder makes my shoulders look more narrow, and I just prefer that look. So if that is something you've been struggling with, maybe give that type of construction a try. So I finished that sleeve, and then I've got about this much done of the second sleeve. And good thing I don't have 3 arms because knitting this second sleeve is already torture. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to move on to the steeking, knitting the whole thing in the round, doing the neckband, and basically finishing because I have got a lot of other projects I'd like to do. So here's the Hillesvag Ask yarns. This is the lime green shade and the light pink. Oh no, my hairs, excuse me. And this dark green color. I'll leave all the names below. For the medium pink, I didn't have that in the Hillesvag Ask, so I'm just using this from Rauma Fino. It's slightly thinner, but it's not used very much, and I think it's looking fine in there. Any problems, I think it will block out. These come in these nice big 100-gram hanks, and let's see, 315 meters for 100 grams. So that's a generous skein there. And you saw I knit the body one sleeve and a little bit more on the second. And so far, this is my second cake of the dark green, and this is still my first cake of the pink. So I will definitely not run out of yarn. I have another green one, so not to worry there. And they start out about the size of this lime green. I haven't used very much. So yeah, I have plenty of yarn, so that's nice. I don't have to worry about that. So that's all about the Jaipur Kofte. So I mentioned I bought her book a little while ago, and I got a lot of the Hillesvag yarns, and I knew it was hard to find this yarn, so I got extra colors for my next project, so I wouldn't have to pay the shipping fees again. So I'll just quickly mention I also got this more brune, maybe dark brown, and this white color. So I'm going to make with this another kofte by Wallin, and it's called In the Valley or Around the Valley or something. I'll put a little picture here. But that's the next one I'm going to make with this color combo. Okay, my next whip is also for that same baby I made the penguin for. I've never knit a baby sweater or baby clothes of any kind before, so I thought I would give it a try. And I got the Ingrid baby sweater knitting pattern by Petite Knit. I think the adult version is super popular, but this one's for baby. And whoops. And I mentioned this, I was working on this in the last podcast, and I was talking about how I met Gage, however, the sizing is totally off. I think this would fit a 2-year-old, and I was trying to make the 3 to 6 month size. And I did not like working with this yarn, with this needle size. It was so stretchy, and it's gappy. It's just too loose. It looks like handmade in the bad way. So I was deciding what to do, and ultimately I decided to try again. And I'm knitting the smallest size, and I went down a full needle size. And this is the back yoke. So I'm much more pleased with the oh, that's the wrong side, sorry. So I'm much more pleased with the fabric this is making now. It's a lot tighter, looks more professional. It's still, I don't know, it still looks kind of big to me, but whatever, as long as it's not too small. But I don't know if this is common in her baby patterns, but the sizing is, I feel like it's very, very off, because I did meet Gage originally. Okay, just to show you the comparison. Here's in the back, I've got the first one I made, and in the front is the second. So it's quite a bit smaller. I will at least continue working and maybe save this one for when he's a little bit bigger, because, oh my gosh, I forgot. I was starting to get mad. So instead of following the pattern, I just started knitting in the round just to get it finished. So maybe I did that prematurely. I must have not been in a good mood. So I should probably rip that back and fix that, because this is going to be nice for a little bit larger child. And I am using Sandnes Garn Double Sunday. And this is a nice, it's not there? Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's like a muted light green type of shade. So really nice for a baby, any gender. That's all I have to say about that. Still not too happy with that project, but I was thinking I've already made him a penguin, and if I don't finish by next week when my trip is, it's okay, because they're coming to visit at the end of June. So I could like give him the penguin now and then the sweater later. So worst case scenario, I've still got some time there. Okay, so that's actually all for my whips, because I've been spending so much time on that Colorwork cardigan. So let me show you what new yarn I got, a new sweater kit. So if you're interested in that, stick around a little bit longer and I'll show you what I will be knitting on in the future. The Woolly Thistle, which is an online yarn shop in New Hampshire, which is pretty close to where I live. I think they're completely online though, there's no storefront. But anyways, they are like my dream knitting shop. They supply all sorts of, well, what's in the name, woolly, but they're really into rustic yarns that are non-superwash, and they source their yarns from all over the world, so you can get, you know, British yarn, Norwegian yarn, Swedish yarn, all sorts of things, and yarns that are otherwise really hard to get in the US. Anyways, so they have stocked Marie Wallin's new yarn. It's called Erin, or British Breeds Erin, and it's exactly the same as her other yarn, which is thinner, but with the Erin weight, I saw this in an interview they did on the Woolly Thistle podcast. Her new yarn is just 2 strands of the old yarn held double, in all the same colorways. So she has a new book. She has a new book out with patterns that are using this new thicker yarn. So if you're interested in making a sweater and you wanted to knit up a bit faster, then this might be a good option for you. So anyways, the Woolly Thistle is selling kits for the sweaters in her new book. So what I got was yarn kit for the Seton sweater, and that is the sweater that's on the front page of her book, and I just thought it was the most beautiful sweater I've ever seen. And normally I don't tend to go for blue colors, but the pale blue with like the dark rust colors and the gray and just all of it together, she must be a color genius because every sweater in this book is so beautiful, like a work of art. Anyways, so I got the one that was on her front cover, and in her interview I believe she said that that was her favorite design, so ho-ho. Okay, sorry, I just opened up that plastic crinkling stuff so it wouldn't crinkle too much, so I can show you some of the yarns. So, well, I picked the pattern because it was beautiful, but also it looked like a really nice way to try every single color. Oh, these are both the same. This came with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see. Oh, this came with 12 different colors, so that is actually kind of cool. I'll show you a few of them here now. This one's chestnut. It's like a reddish brown. There's quince, which is like a camel brown. Silver birch. Mulberry. Ooh, that looks really nice. It doesn't look like that in real life. It looks more like, looks darker in real life, like this. Those two. Let's see what else. There's raw. This is the undyed color. Beautiful. So many shades that are similar to each other. This one's pale oak. Similar to the gray, but warmer, obviously. That's the quince color again. And then two of my other favorite colors. Dark apple. I love a dark green. And wood. Those are nice. And then the whole reason I got this kit was for these shades of blue. They're so beautiful. This muted shade of blue I can definitely do. So the lighter one is called Eau de Nil. And this one is mallard, like the duck, the dark blue. And then this pinkish shade is called blossom. So this combo together is so beautiful to me. So yeah, I cannot wait to make that. I think it's knitted up on 4.5 millimeter needles. So that is just gonna really fly off the needles. And since it's color work, it's very addicting to me. So I'm not letting myself start that until I finish the Jaipur Kofte though. Otherwise, who knows, it might go into the naughty corner. But as soon as that's done, I will be casting that on immediately. And then for the last yarn I got for a project is I will be making the camisole number 2. This is by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Yeah, I bought this pattern maybe 5 or 6 years ago and I never made it, but I found it. I still have it. And since it's summer, I thought I better give summer knitting a try because I never have before, and it should go much faster than a sweater with sleeves, so might as well. And I'm gonna be making this in Isayer Trio 2. I've got 3 balls of this, and this is a 50% linen, 30% cotton, 20% lyocell yarn. I do love linen garments in summer, so that's why I got this. It feels smooth, but not soft. So I'm really interested to swatch this up and see how the fabric looks. It's 50 grams, and there's 175 meters per skein. So yeah, that's all I got, and that's all I've been knitting on and all my plans. And I hope you all have a great weekend. It's going to be Memorial Day here. Just also a 3-day weekend. The weather is going to be nice and hot. Not as hot as yesterday, but still very warm, my favorite temperature. And my birthday's on Tuesday, so yeah, it should be a great weekend. I hope you're all having a lovely spring and summer, and that you're knitting on an amazing project that you love. And thank you so much for joining me today. It really means a lot that some of you have already started commenting on my videos, and they're just so thoughtful, and I can't believe people take the time to write comments to me. That just really warms my heart. So thank you so much if you're one of those people. If you did like this video and you'd like to see more, please subscribe and hit the like button, and hopefully I will see you again here next time. And leave a comment below about what you're knitting on and what part of the world you're from. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye!